Yeah,
Um, just can you introduce yourself to the audience that'll watch this little clip?
sure. My name is Bob Gaines, and I was the owner and director of Vertical Adventures Climbing School from 1983 to 2023. And so I'm a longtime guide. And back in 1992, I got the opportunity to work on the movie Cliffhanger.
Awesome. And you worked on several other movies too. Before we do Cliffhanger, what are some of the other movies you worked on?
Um, Before that time, I'd worked on a lot of commercials as
Hmm.
a climbing coordinator and stunt coordinator and key
Hmm.
rigger.
Hmm.
I worked on Star Trek V, The Final Frontier in 1987, where I was the climbing double for William Shatner when Captain Kirk free solos El Capitan. And if you want to see a funny video, go to YouTube and search El Capitan Kirk. And there's a little parody of Star Trek V and Free Solo that's kind of funny.
Awesome. We'll have to
But
check that out.
yeah, in the beginning of Star Trek V, I did like a montage of climbs in Yosemite
Hmm.
that are supposedly the nose of El Capitan. So I did Outer Limits,
Hmm.
the slack route on El Cap. There's a chimney a couple pitches up. I free soloed. I free soloed the first pitch of Free Rider. Did Separate Reality with a rope running down the sleeve of my sweater tied to a hidden Swami belt.
Nice.
Um, and I did bootflake about 15 times.
Nice.
Anyway,
Cool.
so I had a background, and at the time, I was actually working on a TV show called The Ultimate Challenge
Hmm.
for the Fox Network. We did
Hmm.
5 1-hour shows.
Hmm.
So I was involved in the business. That show um, had John Long as the writer
Hmm.
and Bob Carmichael, who was a climbing film guy, as one of the producers. Um, so when I was working on that film, Mike Weiss approached me, and Mike Weiss is a pretty famous climber from Colorado from the 70s. I think he was on the first ascent of Bridalveil Fall, the ice climb. And he said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about something. Can we go out to lunch?" So on my lunch break in West LA, we went out. I remember he said, "Here's the deal. We're doing this movie Cliffhanger with Stallone, and it was already going. And he said, I want you to train all the actors. First thing is you're going to train Stallone." And I was like, okay. It was like a big shock. And so I took it on, and I worked with Sly at his house in Bel Air for about 4 months,
Hmm.
once or twice a week. And what we did was we built a climbing wall in his backyard. So he had this tennis court, and it had a retaining wall on the side. And on the side of that, we used drop in anchors to put up little boulder problems.
Hmm.
So we had all these boulder problems. Me and another couple guys did all the course setting, and we rated them all, and we had all this course for them. And then we also had a higher wall that was anchored to the retaining wall that went up four by eight panels. So it was 32 feet high with ropes for a belay. So it was a pretty nice little venue in his backyard. So I spent a lot of time at his house. On his first day, he did a 510C boulder.
Oh, wow.
First day.
Well, he's fit, right?
He was super fit. He'd been
Yeah.
working out with a trainer like, a couple hours a day for like 30 years. He was in his 40s at the time. So, yeah, he was super fit. Um, Plus, he had a positive ape index +7.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, he's gonna love this. He's gonna be such a great climber. Uh, the first meeting that I had with Sly in the backyard. So we built all the stuff first, and
Hmm.
then he comes out there with his production manager, a guy named Tony Manafo, this Italian guy, and he goes, "Bob, we got to have a little talk." And I'm like, "Okay." And he says, "Bob, listen to me. Nothing can happen to Sly. Nothing." And I'm like, "All right, well, maybe he shouldn't be climbing." He goes, "No, no, no, Bob, listen to me. Nothing can happen to Sly." And I'm like, "Okay, I get it, I get it." So we had these grandiose plans. He was going to go to Joshua Tree. He was
Hmm.
going to go Yosemite. He was going to go all over the place and climb.
Hmm.
But he soon found out that he was good enough, and he liked it. But at one point he tweaked one of his fingers,
Oh
and I
yeah.
saw it happen on that higher wall where the
Uh-huh.
rope got a little tangled. And I'm like, holy shit, he just hurt his finger. I saw it and I knew it. And I'm like, are you okay? He goes, I'm okay. I get called into the producer's office a couple days later about that injury. Like, what happened? And I'm like, because he hurt his finger.
Yeah.
And anyway, so he brought in two climbing doubles who were arguably the best climbers in the world at the
Of
time.
course. Yeah.
And I think he realized that with these doubles and the way he was climbing, he was good to go. So he didn't need to travel all over the place and go rock climbing all over the place. He was good to go. So he got Wolfgang Gulich,
Hmm.
who had just done the first ascent of Action Direct
Of
in the
course.
Frankenstein in 1991.
Yep.
That was rated 14D in
Hmm.
1991. That was the hardest sport climb in the world.
Yep.
And then he also brought in Ron Kauk, who
Of
had just
course.
done Crossroads, which was a 13A sport climb
Hmm.
that he wrapped. It was like one of the first wrap bolted climbs in Yosemite. He showed up. He was like lean and mean. He was fit. Wolfgang was a little more buff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the reason why Wolfgang got the job was when I was working on that show, Ultimate Challenge, we had a segment on climbing and actually jumping between pinnacles
Hmm.
in Teplice, I think it's in Czechoslovakia.
Hmm.
And Mike Hoover had done this film. That was one of the segments in the show. And it showed these guys jumping between pinnacles, and they would rate them like J1 through J5, J5 being the toughest.
Yeah.
Um, and it also showed Wolfgang and his partner climbing, and it showed Wolfgang training.
Uh-huh.
So in the movie, in the script, they had this leap called the King's Leap. The Sly was going to leap this huge chasm.
I
It
remember
was
it. Yeah.
preposterous. It was like
Yeah. Yeah.
120 feet. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, the world record's like 29 feet long jump. Anyways, it was this huge leap. And so I said, hey, look, it was in a meeting and showed him that segment. And Sly was watching it. And Wolfgang was training and he did a one finger pull up.
Yeah.
And Sly saw that. He goes, he can do a one finger pull up. I want him as my double. Right then and there, he got the job because of the one finger pull up.
Yeah. 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 Of
But he just happened to be the best climber in the world, too.
course. Yeah. Yeah.
So they go to Hollywood, Wolfgang and Ron. And I remember another meeting where we're in the office and Sly says, particularly Ron, he was pretty thin,
Hmm.
and Stallone was buff. He
Hmm.
was like at the peak of his fitness. He was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
46 years old.
Yeah.
And he said, I think they're going to need a little supplementation. And I don't think he was talking vitamins.
And
I think Wolfgang might have went for it, but I don't think Ron did. Ron didn't want to
okay.
bulk up. I mean, Ron was at the peak of his career
Yeah. Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
climber, and he would go on to do Magic Line a few
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
afterwards, which was the hardest trad thing in Yosemite, 14C in
Oh,
1996.
holy smokes.
In
Yeah.
1995, he did Peace on Medlicott Dome, which is the 13D face
Hmm.
that people aspire to nowadays. So he was at the peak of his climbing prowess, and he didn't want to bulk up, really.
Yeah.
So what happened is over there, Wolfgang really did the doubling because Wolfgang did. He actually bulked up, and he looked a lot like Stallone's physique, a lot more like Stallone's physique, and he was into lifting weights. And
Hmm.
Sly had him like with a trainer in
Yeah.
Hollywood. They'd work it out all the time, eating 5 meals a day and everything. So Wolfgang pulled it off,
Was
and it
that
was
him jumping in the jump? Is that Wolfgang?
no, he had another stunt double that did like the Hollywood style
I
stunts
see.
named
Yeah.
Mark D'Alessandro, who
Hmm.
did like the tumbles and the
Yeah.
leaps and
Yeah.
the fight scenes.
Yeah.
And Wolfgang just did the climbing
I
double.
see. Okay.
And Ron actually, everybody loved Ron. So he actually spent months over there, the whole duration, first unit,
Hmm.
second unit, and he doubled for some of the other actors.
Sure.
So as a member of the stunt crew, he was well liked and he worked the
Hmm.
whole time. And he did some doubling, but he never really doubled for Stallone because he was so
Okay.
slender. He doubled for like Janine Turner.
That's awesome. Well, that's
Yeah.
good to know.
but he had a great time. And but yeah, Wolfgang did the climbing, and he pulled it off. He was doing some like 10D solos on limestone. I mean, Wolfgang
Jeez.
was on it, man.
Yeah, I
The
bet.
really
Yeah.
sad thing about that whole movie, though, to me was, and I got to be great friends with Wolfgang.
Yeah,
We ate
yeah.
lunch a lot together, and
Yeah.
really like the best climber in the world, but the humblest guy.
Yeah.
And I really loved the guy. And
Yeah.
shortly after we wrapped, um, he was in a car,
Yeah.
and I think he fell asleep at the wheel on the
Yeah, I
autobahn
remember that. Yeah.
and slammed into a wall
Yeah.
and died. And it
Hmm.
was so sad because he had just gotten married.
Hmm.
He was climbing the best he'd ever climbed. He did the hardest climb in the world. Just made all this money on this movie. I mean, his whole life was ahead of him. It was so sad.
Yeah,
So sad.
yeah.
That's the real tragedy.
Of course. Well, do you have any like closeout story you'd like to tell our group of intrepid watchers?
One of the ironic things about the movie is they built it as a climbing movie.
Yeah.
So everyone was really excited in the climbing community and the
Hmm.
climbing manufacturers. So they approached Black Diamond for a bunch of gear. And Black Diamond were like, wow, this is going to be great. So all the harnesses
Hmm.
were Black Diamond bod harnesses. And I don't want to be a spoiler for the people that haven't seen the movie, but something happens to a Black Diamond
Yes,
harness
something does.
that's bad. And basically, it crumples under the weight of the 115-pound woman. The buckle just melts. So when Black Diamond saw the movie, obviously they weren't very happy about
I
that.
bet they weren't. I hadn't even thought
And
about that. Yeah.
in my climbing school,
Yeah.
I used Black Diamond bod harnesses. So
We had them Yeah, we had them
this
forever.
is in the 90s, for years and
Yeah.
years and years after that movie, people would show up for a basic rock climbing class and they would go, "That's the harness that failed in Cliffhanger." And I'd be like, wait a second. That's a Hollywood fantasy. But Black Diamond was really pissed. And in the disclaimers, they wrote a disclaimer in the credits.
Hmm.
But it almost made it worse
Oh,
because you know
yeah.
how credits roll
Yeah,
by really
nobody
fast.
watches that.
So
Yeah.
it rolled by like this. The Black Diamond harness depicted in this film. And then that's about all you could read. So it put the spotlight on it. It made it worse.
Holy smokes.
So for
Well,
those of you that haven't seen the movie, the opening scene is my favorite scene.
it is a good scene.
And you'll know what we're talking
Hmm.
about.
And then later, Ace Ventura did the same scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, thanks, Bob, for this. And
You're welcome.
yeah, and then also we have a bookstore with several of Bob and well, one book that Bob and I wrote together, but also several books that Bob wrote with John Long. So yeah, good deal. Well,
Great. Well,
thanks.
hey, nice talking to you, Jason. And
Yeah,
you guys enjoy the film.
you too. We'll talk to you later. All right.
Bye
Thanks
bye.
again, Bob.
Bye.
Bye.